wearing an itchy wool bathing suit, and they got tops on them for both men and women, so you want to get out of those things as soon as you can. Mr. Hearst is going to accommodate his guests to the best possibility. He's got 17 dressing rooms up here for you to change into and out of your itchy wool bathing suit. And in the 1930s, most of Mr. Hearst's guests are going to be right at this end of the pool. The pool actually slopes from about 3 feet down to 10 feet, but a lot of people just do not know how to swim back in the 1930s. So they're going to be hanging out in the shallow end. How about questions about what you're seeing right here? Things you guys would want me to talk about?
So they never open this pool to the public?
The pool is open to the public today. Yeah. First time? In Hearst time, no. You're invited up here. You have done something interesting. You're an interesting person. That's how you get an invite up here. Think of William Randolph Hearst as somebody like today's Rupert Murdoch, or maybe Ted Turner 20 years ago. Very powerful man in America. And he's going to invite you up here for a long weekend because you've done something interesting, or you're an interesting person. He wants to get to know you. And so that's what this is about. This is the guy who does not live on this hilltop. This is one of 6 or 7 major estates he women are wearing nice cocktail dresses. Look for hats with attitudes. You can find those in the 1930s. Inside, the gentleman over there, he'll take his hat off, absolutely. Anybody in this group know the name Mervyn LeRoy? Hollywood producer, director, produced The Wizard of Oz. He was up here as a guest in the 1930s. He didn't take you to the fanciest in that book. He talks about getting an invitation. Give you an idea what the accommodations were for Mr. Hearst and his guests during the Great Depression. Hearst and the wife Millicent separated in 1925, but they never divorced. So technically Hearst is a married man, but his living companion from about 1920 on is the girlfriend Marion Davies. Stars in 45 of the 150 movies that Hearst makes. How about questions? Yeah, you're walking under gold here, and in the guest houses, you're walking under ceilings that Hearst saw in Europe. He liked them. He couldn't buy the originals, so he's going to have plaster copies made, and they are gilded. When you see something that looks like gold on the hilltop, it is going to be gold. The exception will be the brass name tags that the guys are wearing. castle, but this isn't it. He had a 12th century Norman castle over in Cardiff, Wales. And that's where he had his British sterling collection. He's got his German collection up in Northern California. He's got his early American art in Southern California. He's got his French art out on Sandpoint, Long Island. These are all big estates that the guy has. And he calls this the Little Ranch because he also has a 1 million-acre ranch in Chihuahua, Mexico. Starting to get the idea about this guy? Come on up and get a closer look at the house. Actually, resin copies of alabaster globes that Hearst had up here. He took the alabaster down in wintertime. We've actually taken it down and put it in a vault. What you're seeing are resin copies of alabaster globes here. A little bit later, we'll get down to the indoor Roman pool, and you'll see real alabaster globes down there. Mr. Hearst, yeah, this is the house. It's unfinished. Close to the time that Hearst died, one of the kids asked him, how far along are you on this project, Pops? And he said 50%. I personally don't believe that. I think if he was still alive today, he would still be building up here. The man has passion for journalism. He's America's first media mogul. He's got passion for politics. He was elected to Congress for 2 terms. He ran for the presidency twice. His father was a sitting U.S. senator when George died in 1891. William Randolph Hearst thought he would be president of the United States one day. That didn't happen. But he's obsessive about collecting. As I mentioned, he's got all these big estates, and this is just the Mediterranean. Come into this room during the 1930s, special options. You can sit in one of the store-bought chairs that might come from Sloan & Company or Barker Brothers, and you can talk with the other guests, network. If you've got a fat wallet, you can sit down at that poker table and play poker with people like Doris Duke, the tobacco heiress, Joseph Kennedy, the father of JFK, based out of the Bank of America, APKE, the aviator Howard Keene. You better have a fat wallet if you're going to sit down with those folks. The other end of the room, Marion Davies is playing a brand new game in 1935. It's all about real estate. And we call that Monopoly today. And the guest could be down there. She might have a couple of her Hollywood honey girlfriends up for the weekend, and that's probably the table that I'm going to sit down at. You can find an underemployed actor or an actress sitting in one of these chairs right here. Next to her is Walt Disney, or Jack Warner, or Louis B. Mayer. It might be a good place to get a job. Cary Grant was a visitor up here about 40 times, and he came back in the 1980s as an elderly man. And he walked in here with a guide, and when he walked in here, he goes, "Was all this stuff here when I was here?" And it was, except so was Jean Harlow and the other beauties of the day. So he might have been distracted. Gathered in the room, tapestries. Hearst really loved the tapestries. They tell stories at a time people don't know how to read. On this tour, you're going to see tapestries that range in age from 350 up to about 600 years old. The ones on the long wall are pretty special. They tell the story of a man by the name of Scipio or Scipio Africanus, a Roman general who came to Hannibal in the Second Punic War. And these tapestries are 450 years old, designed by a man by the name of Julian. How about questions in here, folks? You see the guests, they're reading newspapers, probably a Hearst newspaper. The first time that Dolores Hope came in here, she was a little bit nervous, a little antsy about things. But then she sees movie magazines and sees candy on the table. Like travertine because it looks old when it's brand new. And it is a limestone. So this is the room that all the guests are going to have all their meals. There are no dining rooms, no kitchens in any of the guest houses, and that's by design. You know, Hearst wants to get to know you. In the morning, you'll have your breakfast order from that next room. It's called the morning room. It'll be served at this table, and it'll be ranch food. Things like pancakes and eggs, you know, bacon and eggs, ham, whatever. Instead of mustard and ketchup on the table, you'll find jams and jellies, syrups, butter, that kind of stuff. In the afternoon, the guests have their buffet-style lunch on this 400-year-old monastery table, and it would have been last night's leftovers, kind of like my house. And then in the evening time, this is where all the guests are going to show up for their meals. And you will find William Randolph Hearst right in the middle of this table with a sign of civil authority. That's an Irish mace, about 100 years old. And across from him will be to the girlfriend Marion. Julia Morgan, the architect, she is up on the hilltop, she'll have one of the close-in seats. And then the newest guest on this hilltop, whoever they might be, they'll also have close-in seats. Hearst wants to hear the precious stories. This is also the room where you figure out when it is time to go home. You know, you're a new guest, you got one of the catbird seats, but as newer guests come in, you find your nightly dinner cards starting to slide away from the center of the table. You know, you get down to about here, there's a little bit of a hint going on, right? And most people were able to take that place and really big down. There's a big 12-foot high Gothic windows that give him a nice knockout view of the San Lucia mountain range. Remember we talked about earlier, he told Julia Morgan the main thing about the ranch is the view. And he likes that view. That is a portrait of our boy Willie at the far end of the room. Do you think he has an ego?
No.
Yeah, he certainly has an ego. That, however, was not here when he was alive. The family brought that in here. And he sat for that portrait. He's in his early 30s there. Looks quite successful. Now this will be a good room if it's a wintertime day, it's raining outside or cold or blustery. There's a roaring fire. So do you want to visit Mr. Hearst's bedroom or Marion's room? We're going to be here for roughly 4 or 5 minutes. So you have an opportunity to go in either direction. It's Gregorian chant, old fire books, animal skins. If you go in that room, you're going to see that it's parchment again, but it's copper disease, the word indenture. Well, they didn't make them. They made them a long, long time ago, and then they were written on a book. If you have not visited Marion's bedroom yet, we're going to invite you to do that. We're going to be leaving here in another minute or so. And if you have not visited Hearst's room, you got another minute or so to check that area out. See, it's the first one to get licensed to practice architecture in the state of California. One of the very first women to get a degree in civil engineering from UC Berkeley. She was the very first woman to be admitted to and then graduate from the École des Beaux-Arts over in Paris, France. And she had buildings that withstood the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco. So she's a good candidate to build up here. The other thing that this room really points out is Hearst's love for technology. If he was alive today, he would have been the first kid on the block with an iPod, a digital camera, and all that good stuff. These two tables here, they look like they're stainless steel. They actually predate stainless steel. or 100 plates for him for a big party, that's how you're going to do it. You can have a cold beer whenever you want. He's got 2 kinds of German beer here. This box here is what keeps the mugs nice and frosty. Over in the corner, you have an electric towel dryer who needs something like that. He's got 4 1926 Frigidaire refrigerators here. In rural America, you had ice boxes until the 1950s. Hearst has refrigeration up here. He also has telephone service beginning in 1927. And there's 80 phones in this house alone. Mr. Hearst also has a full-time switchboard operator. We're talking 24/7 here. Remember, the guy's running 92 businesses. Come on back here in the kitchen, and you'll see some other marvels of the day. Oil-fired ovens. Here's his hot water heater, 2 of them in the kitchen. Cup and plate warmer. Notice Art Deco style, think 1920s. An early pancake griddle, an early Hamilton Beach milkshake maker. For me in the kitchen, the showstopper is the man has an electric rotisserie in 1928. Remember, he's also got that poultry farm. So as you can see here, we have 2 kinds of Brunswick tables. The one closest to me, you're playing French or Carol Builders. That's those are a couple of different classes. And then the English with the pocket is the billiards table. And that second table down there, what you first guessed, you would have a lot more material. People like WCT, Sarah Longard, and chances are they would have been playing on this table. Everything in here deals with recreation. I told you about the 500-year-old space. And if you put up the panels there where the lights are, you're going to see bullfights, bear baiting, sailing. And that's what wealthy people did for recreation in Spain 500 years ago. If you look on the wall over there, that tapestry is 600 years old. And it's called Life of the Stag. That's what we need. He's a movie maker. He owns radio stations. He owns magazines, newspapers. Before the guy dies, he even buy a television station. First one was in Boston, WBAL. Basically what a remote control is, he had a telephone. And it had buttons on it where you could raise or lower the volumes on the movies. And then, you know, you're not only watching Hearst movies up here, but you're watching other people.
Not for years has the Atlantic been storm swept so continuously.
My friends, the policy, the sustained policy of buying goods of American manufacture rather than materials of foreign manufacture is not only a patriotic policy for the general good of the nation, but a policy which will surely let us, in this new year, resolve to make it a policy for 1933 to buy American goods and to give work to American labor and to distribute wealth in wages and so create and revive the prosperity which we so lately enjoy.
Horton Smith drives off. Leo Eagle is next. And now, Praise Wood.
Mr. Hearst time. You've just finished watching a new run movie. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. So Mr. Hearst is going to stand up and he's going to dismiss the guests. He's going to let the movie stars go out and play. They can either go back up to their rooms or they can go take a dip in the Roman pool. The Roman pool at night is a very romantic adventure. Are you ready? We're going to walk through what Cary Grant called Lover's Lane. If you're over 6 feet tall, you're going to want to duck because the door isn't. Come on. Imagine ending your day here at the ranch after a day of horse